Every mine is different and has a whole language of its own. And if you don't learn that language and listen and look for the signs, then the old man will have you. The old man being the mine itself.
And I do love it underground. Very peaceful. There's no pollution, no air pollution, no light pollution, no noise pollution, and it's lovely.
The original free miners were iron miners, because the very word miner, it starts with mine, miner, mineral. And iron is a mineral and coal isn't. Coal is carbon. Iron mining is carried on for more than 8,000 years here. And it's got a very interesting history. Iron is the first building block of the body. We can't live without it. It starts the whole process of life off, because iron and oxygen love each other very much. And so every breath of air we take into our lungs, the iron in our blood grabs hold of the oxygen out of it and is transported around our body by the use of water. So they are the first three building blocks, but the whole process of life will not start unless we have iron in the first place. So it's the most important mineral on Earth to us.
Well, this is the main source of income for the area, was the coal and the iron. At one point, the majority of the forest worked in mining. So that's just what this area is all about, really. It's got a big mining history.
Free mining has existed for what they call time out of mine, which goes back before the 1200s. And in those days, the whole family worked underground, the men, women and children, and there was no differentiation. And it wasn't till the Mining Act of 1838 that they set down certain rules. And those rules are mainly how the mines should be operated. Well, you've heard of the tearing people off a strip. That came from people who'd stolen deer or broken the laws of the forest. The verderers could tear off a strip off a person, and they would notch at the top of the arm and tear the strip all the way down the arm, take the surface of the skin off. That was tearing people off a strip for doing wrong in the forest. In the early 60s, all the mines in the forest were closing down. And I thought what the forest needed was a mining museum. But I couldn't get the authorities interested. They said they didn't want tourism, they wanted proper jobs for people. But 40 years on, everything's turned around. Tourism is the main thing, and there isn't much mining going on there. But this is still a working mine, and we still mine out the coloured iron oxides, which are quite sought after.
I've always wanted to be a free miner, but because I was a woman, I couldn't. So I decided to test the waters, so to speak, and apply to become one a few years back. Well, I enjoy being underground and I enjoy doing mining, you know, so I didn't see, just because I was female, that I shouldn't become a free miner. You know, it's just a forest right, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, it's sort of. Yeah. So that was why, and I do love it underground. Seeing the structure of the rock as well is just amazing, and you think that all that is underground. When you're walking along the top, you would have no idea of what was underground.
Well, I helped her all I could. I signed her form to apply, and there was a lot of hostility from most of the free miners. The Forestry Commission weren't very keen to move on it either, but the Deputy Governor, which should be a Crown appointment, so the Forestry Commission couldn't dictate to him too much, but it was the Forestry Commissioners who told him to accept Elaine as a free miner. And the Forestry Commissioners are appointed by the Queen.
It took about 2 years from the time I applied to the time I got it. In the meantime, I had to deal with the Governor's office, keep badgering and saying, you know, how is my claim getting on, and also going to my MP, and it was brought up in Parliament. It doesn't actually say that you cannot be a woman. It just says that you should be a man. So on those grounds, I've got in. Yeah, it's fantastic when I actually managed to get the title of free miner, because I have been working down the mine on and off since I was about 8 years old. You know, my first recollections of going down the mine was when I was 6 years old, and I was lowered down a shaft in a bucket. You know, obviously I didn't go down there to work then, but yeah, and having sort of worked and done several jobs underground, that I thought that I had just as much right to be a free miner as a man. Some of the old free miners don't like it because they think that I have broken with tradition, but unless you put new blood into the free miners, then they will gradually die out, and that's what's needed, you know. And it's not just women that are needed, it's men as well, because all the free miners, they're all getting older, so they do need younger blood, and I don't see any problem with having women as free miners if that's what they want to do.
Explosives started to be used in these mines about 500 years ago, and they used to have to drill all the holes in the rock by hand with a hammer and chisel. It used to be the job of the youngsters to hold these drill bars on their shoulder and keep turning them while two men struck it by sledgehammers just behind their ear. The continual hammering in the confined spaces of the mine used to make the men and youngsters a bit deaf. So if they shouted stop, if the youngsters shouted stop, we want to put a longer bar in, the men wouldn't always hear them. So they developed a little signal. So as they were turning away at the bar like this, they'd flash their thumb across the end of the bar in between strikes. The miners would see their thumb flash across and they'd stop hammering. Of course, if the youngsters' timing was out, they'd end up without a thumb. So if you see a forester going round without a thumb, you know they haven't got very good timing. But then, early in the 1900s, towards the end of the 1800s, early 1900s, someone invented this tool, a pneumatic tool driven by compressed air. When the miners got these tools, first of all, they thought they were great because they could drill the holes much deeper and much faster. But with these tools came many problems. They created a tremendous amount of dust, which clogged up the lungs of the miners. The violent vibration of these tools destroyed the muscles and joints of their arms, and the terrific noise they made them stone deaf in a very short time. With the result, the people in the early days, using these tools first of all, didn't live very long, and these tools soon got the nickname of widowmakers. So if your girlfriend buys you one of these for Christmas, I should find a new girlfriend.